Good morning. Hello, filthy potato. You're up early. Very, very early. Especially for Saturday. I should have shaved. I should have shaved. Well, so be it. Alright, we're back. We're back for what is, for me, day 13 of Advent, which means we're doing day 7, part 1 today. A bunch of people are already done with Advent of Code. And I'm just getting halfway through. But that's okay, you know, we're all running our own race. We're all running our own race. There we go. Couldn't hear you. My headset was on but not connected. Well, good morning. So, are you just getting up or have you been up? Because this is early, man. 4 a.m. on a Saturday? That's early. I'm an early boy. Dang, dude. Yeah. Hey, respect. Respect, man. That's pretty rare. Most people do not choose to wake up that early. This is my default time. I wake up mostly ever since getting out of the army in 2016. Oh, so you're an ex. Well, first of all, thank you for your service, filthy potato. Appreciate you. Second off, I guess you're you're an old vet at waking up early, then, huh? I love mornings. They are so chill to me. It's quiet. Dude, waking up early is kind of a superpower because you literally do feel like you kind of got a head start on the day. You know, you feel like it almost feels like secretly you're getting started before everybody else. Is what it feels like. It's also nice because nobody interrupts you, right? It's very difficult to be interrupted at 4 o'clock in the morning when everyone else is asleep. I may need that map at 12 p.m., but that's okay. Yeah. Hey, I'm with you. I'm with you. The no interruption is where it's at, especially when I'm doing schoolwork. Yeah, for a long time actually, I retired from getting up early. So before my kids were born, I always got up early. Then after my kids were born, I sort of put getting up early away because it seemed like no matter how early I would wake up, my kids would also wake up. So then it was like, oh, so mornings can't be uninterrupted anymore. So I retired from getting up early for the last, like, I don't know, probably 8 years, 9 years. But lately, this last, 2 or 3 months of getting up early and streaming has been pretty good. And now my kids are old enough they understand, like, hey, you guys need to stay in your beds until 6 or 7. I gotta blow my nose. I'll be right back. My kids are 9 and 7. I have a fourth grader and a second grader. Also, good morning, Thunder Deer. Oh, that's awesome, man. Well, that's awesome to hear, Filthy Potato. I'm glad. Yeah, I tried to. That's kind of what I was looking to try to create with the stream was exactly those kind of vibes. Learning, chatting, working alongside each other, drinking some caffeine, getting our day started. So that's really cool. I appreciate the fact that you fuck with our vibes. Good morning. I also have a 9-year-old, then 6 and 2. Woo, boy, you in the trenches. Thunder Deer, you are in the trenches. Yep, you're in the thick of it, man. Volsier, gotta stop meeting on the toilet. Good morning, Volsier. Thanks for being a member, man. Appreciate you. Hope you're having a good trip in there. Yeah, I mean, like I was kind of sharing earlier a moment ago, you know, when your kids are little and you wake up super early and they wake up early, as a parent, you're kind of just on by default because they need your help to do everything basically. But Thunder Deer knows. But like once your kid gets like 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, where they can be somewhat helpful to themselves, right? Where they can understand that they need to sleep in. You know, like we have a ring light, or not. It's not a ring light. It's a what's it called? It's a particular brand. It's like basically a light in the room, and we can set it to particular colors at particular times. So we can explain to them like, hey, until the light turns yellow, you need to stay in your beds. And then even then, when they wake up now, they can like get their own drinks, right? They can like fill up a water bottle for themselves. Like we can trust them to be somewhat unsupervised. That now getting up early is not so much of a negative experience. It's not even that it's a negative experience. It's like if you get up at 4 a.m. to do something or work on your own thing, but then you get interrupted, it's kind of frustrating as a parent, right? It's to be expected also as a parent, but at the same time, I guess as a parent it's to be expected, but as an individual who got up early to like focus on something you wanted to do, it's frustrating. Philip said that's pretty neat light. Yeah, it's a lot of parent a lot of, at least a lot of the parents we know have them. It's called a what is it called? It's like Bluetooth to your phone. You can set it to different colors at different times. You can also set like music or like white noise sounds. I forget what it's called. Kids nightlight. I want to say Aura, but I know that's not right. Aura is a different thing. Um, kids white noise machine. Maybe that's a better search. Hatch, that's the name of it. A hatch light. A lot of parents that I've talked to have used this as the strategy to help keep their kids on a sleep routine. This is what we've used since our boys were real little, and it works good. It's a little expensive. I think probably we have the first generation one since we got it a while ago, but it works good. Definitely helped when the boys were littler. Now they're older, so it's not probably as helpful, but we'll see. Our cartoons at 5 a.m. I remember doing that. Yeah, yeah. I mean, kids can't help it, especially little ones. Like they just know you're up and they want to be with you and they want to see what you're doing. And yeah, it's part of being a dad, part of being a mom. All right, day 7, part 1. So yesterday, at the end of yesterday's stream, after we told Pablo showed up. Pablo's one of my illustrious chatters. Um, and he showed up, and I was so excited about solving day 6 part 2. And then he said that basically every day from here to day 10 gets harder. So I guess we're gonna see how hard today is. All right. Oh man, we gotta finish loading up the pod today, and we start the drive to Washington. Dude, that's like okay. So not gonna lie, filthy potato. If I was you, I would be incredibly excited, but also nervous. I guess my question for you though is like, do you guys have family? And I'm up at 4 a.m. Yeah, you're just gonna be a rare. You're just gonna be in rare form later when you're loading up that pod. Uh, my question is, do you guys have people waiting for you on the other end at your trip, or do you guys have family there? Or are you just doing it because you wanted to go somewhere different, or because that would be super nerve wracking to me to move someplace where I like have no family or had never been before. I mean, it's a pretty big move. I mean, it's super courageous. Like, I mean, it takes a lot of courage to uproot your life and move somewhere new. Also, you can. It's also perfectly. I have family in CA. Wifey has a BFF that lives there, but that'll be the only person we know. W's for you, man. W's for you. I think this is like such a cool and exciting adventure, and man, I hope it's a blast. I hope it's a blast. It is nice. It's nice that you have family relatively close. I want to be isolated. Helps me do my schoolwork. I uprooted my life last year when I quit my Intel job in California, then moved to Missouri. So this is okay. I'm picking up. This is like a theme for you. This is you worked at Intel, huh? You worked at it. That's pretty cool. What was that like? That must have been a pretty crazy trip. Intel is trash. Really? Wow. My next build will be AMD. Wow. Okay. Okay. Well, man, I mean, I'm sure you don't want to spill all the beans on a live stream, but yo, if you're ever if I'm ever in Washington or you're ever in Kansas City, I would love to grab coffee and hear all about all your Intel stories. I just wouldn't have thought that, you know. Intel's such a storied technology company that I don't know, I guess I would have thought they would have been a really interesting and cool place to work. The company is in shambles, it seems though. I okay, I might you guys might not agree with me, but I think it was a mistake that they fired Pat Gelsinger. I think it was the right thing to do to hire him. The firing of him was the wrong move because the stuff that he was trying to have the company execute on was so difficult and had such a long time to accomplish it that he didn't really get the years he needed to turn the ship around. Really? Everyone hated Pat Gelsinger? That's crazy. Okay, what do I not know about Pat Gelsinger? Yeah, okay. What was the what's the inside scoop of why employees didn't like him? I mean, cuz he's like an Intel OG, you know? That's crazy. I would have never thought that. I thought he was the right guy for the job personally. I thought he could have brought the company back to its former glory, but obviously that's me as a complete outsider, you know. He does Pat get a 1 million pay increase, but all the employees take a 20% pay cut? Yeah, that won't win you any friends. Yeah, you're not gonna have anybody willing to go to bat for you for that one. Faux show. Imagine you buy a 12th gen MacBook or Intel chip, then a few years go by and you want to upgrade to, let's say, the 14th gen. You are literally buying another 12th gen. They just rebranded the MBs and chips. Oh, motherboard, sorry. I read that as MacBook. 14th gen is the same as 12th gen. Well, that seems lame. And why did they do that? Was that because they were having issues producing the next generation of chips, but they still needed to go to market? Is that why they? This is so cool. I've literally never met anyone that's ever worked at Intel, whether on the internet or in real life. COVID fucked everything. Then they had regression issues like bad, and they still shipped. Ah, well, that was a poor decision. So was Gelsinger involved in that decision? Because that's a shitty decision on his part. I mean, I don't think having regression is necessarily a bad thing in my opinion. I think that's sometimes part of the process when you're stretching for something difficult. But if if you know there's problems and you still ship with the problems, then that's a whole nother thing. We are like, why do these motherboards look the same from 3 years ago? Oh shit. Yeah, that's kind of shady. That's kind of shady. I'm just saying. So never again then, huh? Intel's off the question for you in your future as a developer or as an engineer. You would never consider going back to Intel. I was also a contract worker, so I didn't work directly for Intel. Well, I guess like, having a little bit of padding there is probably good. Okay, hold on. Did I misspell this? Oh, I have to name it. There we go. Screw Intel. What's up, Stefan? Good to see you, man. Thanks for being a member. One of our longest tenured member. Actually, I think I might need to update my list of members. Now that I say that. I think I saw somebody. Yeah, I think I need to update this list. Let's see, for Pat, I don't know if you made the call on shipping the issues with the motherboards and chips, but the community was not having it with what they released. Yeah, I mean, I know they had struggles. I personally kind of like the direction that he was taking the company in. I just feel like he wasn't given the time it took to actually execute on it. But again, I'm making that statement kind of in a vacuum of understanding only based on what I saw in the media. So I totally understand you having a different perspective. Shit, I can't see that person's name. I can't read it either. Good morning, Ducky Dev. How you feeling, man? You back on the grind after the bit of illness that you had? Yeah, the media during the layoffs were outrageous. I went to work every day for 2 years wondering if I was going to get laid off, so that's a fun way to live. That's a horrible way to live. That would be enough to make me hate the company as well. Talk about anxiety and stress. Stefan, I started learning Common Lisp yesterday, and wow, what a mind fuck. So you actually took Ryan's advice, huh? Went through the first 150 pages of Common Lisp, a gentle introduction to symbolic computation, and it makes some sense now. Well, you'll have to teach you're gonna have to teach us all a master class on Lisp once you get through it. My illness is gone, but now exams are here. Dude, that sucks. Oh, hey, you're feeling better? Great. Well, come take a test. Just what you want to hear. I'm a consultant, so that's life for me too. Ooh, I wouldn't like that. Yeah, I would not like having anxiety of, am I going to get fired? Am I not going to get fired? I'm laying off NetGoat for a while and working on a Git server. Why? I thought you were full steam ahead on NetGoat and you had people that were going to provide you free servers for a cloud offering and all kinds of crazy shit. Why would you bail on that? 150 pages still don't cover a basic for loop. Well, that's exciting. Mass email went out. If you are receiving this email, you must return your laptop to IT. 200 of us were like, we're getting fired. Then found out the email was a mistake, but half the people got the email did get laid off. That's awful. What an awful mistake to make. I mean, mistakes do happen, but what an awful one to make. Yeah, I feel bad for the people who got the email and got laid off, and I feel bad for the person who sent that email. Because I just can't imagine they didn't mean to do that. And the minute they hit that send button, can you just imagine the blood drain out of their fucking face when they realize what they did? Ugh. The positive is that I get to work with different companies. Pay me 100K and I'll join the project, Ducky. Yeah, I mean, I think the consultancy world is interesting because you probably do build up a lot of experience and a lot of pattern recognition because you work with so many different people. But yeah, having the anxiety of like, what's the next gig that we're gonna do would probably be not good for my mental health. I'm poor. I barely have $3. Yeah, poor is relative, but yeah, I would. Poor is definitely a relative term, but yeah, I feel you, man. I feel you there. So glad I got out of there. So the move to Missouri was worth it. And now to Washington is where me and the wife really want to be. Father-in-law retired. Couldn't buy a house in California because it's expensive, but now we go live our own life. Enough of my rambling. No, it's totally fine for you to ramble. Yeah, the cost of housing is ridiculous. Even here where I live, the cost of housing is crazy. An average home in the neighborhood that we currently rent our house, but an average home in the neighborhoods that we kind of live around or where our kids' school is, you're talking at least $400,000 to get into the market. So we would have to go way further south to buy a house at this point, or we'd have to go pretty significantly north, like west from where we are. It's unbelievable. There's just not really much of a starter home these days in the US. And if there is, it's not where you want to be. It's not where you want to raise your kids, you know. Springfield is fucking cheap though. Yeah, Springfield, Joplin has pretty good cost of living. A lot of the northwestern Arkansas has pretty good cost of living. Yeah. Hope you don't meet the Simpsons. The Simpsons will predict my move. Mike, I like the vibe here. By the way, it's evening here in my country. Good morning, Mike. I appreciate you enjoying our vibes. We're just hanging out, drinking some coffee, gonna work on solving some problems with code. It's morning where we are, but yeah, I totally get it. There's a gentleman who stops into my stream named Bradley, who's in Australia. So he's always at the end of the day, and I'm always at the beginning of my day. Arkansas is also a retirement town too. It is, yeah. Especially there's a town called Bella Vista that basically that's what it was. It was a retirement community, and now it's kind of like a actual town city type of situation, which is kind of interesting because basically the whole town's like a golf course. You drive through it, and you literally are driving right through a golf cart, right through a golf course. It's very interesting. Ah, nice. You're part owner in your consulting firm. That's pretty cool, Thunder Deer. Sucks that the market's dead though. So do you think you're gonna go look for like a salary position and just kind of keep the consulting thing running until the market picks up again? Bruh, in a few years, I'll be on my open source farm, herding my open source animals using my open source PC with my open source OS, using open source Emacs to write open source Lisp code to make open source. Stefan, it sounds like a dream. It sounds like a dream. My aunt and uncle live in Siloam Springs, Arkansas, and it's so quiet. I've been to Siloam Springs. Yeah. There's another town there in Arkansas, Gentry, Arkansas. It's kind of a quiet, sleepy town. I think that's more in the south, though. No, I guess it's still in Northwest. Yeah, it's like close to the state line. Yeah, it's just north of Siloam Springs, actually. I think you actually have to drive through Gentry probably to get to Siloam Springs. It's been a while since I've been to that area. The last time I was in Northwest West Arkansas was to visit my wife's sister's family. So it's been a minute. I think they live in, no, where do they live? I think they live in Pea Ridge. But yeah, cost of living there, cost of living in Southwest Missouri is not bad, but man, cost of living in the bigger cities, it's painful. But also all the opportunities kind of in the cities, right? So it's kind of a catch 22. What are you gonna do? Come to Asia, cheap prices for Americans, and see in real time how Asia is falling apart. Well, I don't want to be anywhere that's falling apart. Open source vulnerability got my open source world hacked by using open source tools. That's the truth right there. That actually describes most CVEs. I have a consulting contract at the moment, so I'm all right for now. We have an internal project, but I'm not really sold on it yet. It's in a saturated market, and there isn't any huge benefit for using our product. Well, that doesn't bode well. Not at all. I hear Arkansas lacks food. It's a poverty state. Yeah, I have no idea actually. I mean, my my sister-in-law, like I said, lives there with her family, and they seem to like it. They seem to be doing real well and seem to be having a good time. My brother-in-law, my wife's sister's brother, owns a company, and they seem to be doing okay. So, but I mean, obviously, that's not representative of the entire state. So, I actually don't know what that story is. I got malware from open source. Why not you? And even you can have malware on your open source devices as well. That's a skill issue. When they were fixing the React RCE vulnerability, they found two more. I saw that. Yep, I saw that on Twitter. Like people were, I guess, exploring some adjacent code paths. What are you gonna do, man? What are you gonna do? I guess they said, according to React, if you believe the React Twitter account, they said that that's a pretty common thing to happen though in exploits. Is typically they will find other ones because people will kind of pick apart anything that's adjacent to the original exploit with kind of a fine-tooth comb. We want you. That's right. Please come join open source and get hacked by other open source users. Croup says React just sucks. You really think so? I don't know. I think React's not bad to work in. I mean, I like it. I mean, what's the alternative? Or what's your preferred alternative? If you think React sucks, what would you rather work in? I gotta blow my nose again. Oh, Ducky Dev, you're an open source malware author? Dang, that's crazy. All right. It's not common to get shell execution however they want to state it. Oh, we're talking about the React exploit? Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't think it's necessarily common, you know? It happened, but I think it's happened to other people. I don't think that necessarily means React sucks, though. Oh, Angular? I've never written any Angular, so I can't agree or disagree with you. It's interesting. Angular and the .NET space, there's kind of a big overlap in those two communities, which I've always found kind of interesting. Like here in Kansas City, whenever I go to the .NET user group meetups, there's usually people there that talk about the fact that there's quite a few people there that talk about the fact that their companies use Angular on the front end and .NET on the back end. So I don't know why that at some point in time those two communities collided for a period of time. I don't know if they still are a thing, but there's definitely an overlap there. I'm more into Laravel thing actually than React things. Well, that's cool. A Laravel user. I've heard wonderful things about the Laravel community. So Taylor Otwell, he's kind of from my neck of the woods. I'm from Southwest Missouri, and he's from, I think, southern kind of central Arkansas. So I feel kinship to technology people who are from the Midwest, just because they don't typically get a lot of love. Uh, so, but I hear the Laravel community are some of the nicest folks in technology and programming, in web development in general. I've never written any PHP, and I've never used Laravel before. All right, should we try to figure out what our problem is today? I think that would be a good plan. Oh, we didn't actually download the problem, did we? We need to do that. See AOC. Put this in the 7 folder. 7. There we go. Yeah, it's time. It's time. Yes, it is time. We're going to see how this goes. Laboratories. Let's see. You thank the celopods for the help and exit the trash compactor. Good. You definitely want to get out of the trash compactor. Finding yourself in the familiar halls of a North Pole research wing based on the large sign that says Teleporter Hub. They seem to be researching teleportation, and you can't help but try it for yourself and step onto the large yellow large yellow teleporter pad. Suddenly you find yourself in an unfamiliar room. The room has no doors, The only way out is the teleporter. Unfortunately, the teleporter seems to be leaking magic smoke. It's a humorous name for the cautious smoke produced by severe electrical overstress of electronic circuits or components. Well, that seems dangerous. Since this is a teleporter lab, there are lots of spare parts, manuals, and diagnostic equipment laying around. After connecting one of the diagnostic tools, it helpfully displays error code OH-N0, which apparently means that there's an issue with one of the tachyon? How do you say that? Tachyon? You guys ever read a book ever read a word in a book and just like have no idea how to say it, so you just make up something in your head, but nobody knows that's how you pronounce it?
Tachyon.
Tachyon manifolds. You quickly locate a diagram of the tachyon manifold, your puzzle input. A tachyon beam enters the manifold at the location marked S. Tachyon beams always move downward. Tachyon beams pass freely through empty space. However, if a tachyon beam encounters a splitter, which is a caret character, the beam is stopped. Instead, a new tachyon beam continues from the immediately left and from the immediate right of the splitter. Okay. So in this example, the incoming tachyon beam extends downward from S until it reaches the first splitter. At that point, the original beam stops and two beams are emitted from the splitter. So I start here, I move down, so now I have a splitter. So that means I use this I replace the left and the right, the indexes to the left and the right, or the columns to the left and the right, with new beams. These beams continue downwards until they reach more splitters. Okay. At this point, the two splitters create a total of only 3 tachyon beams, since they are both dumping tachyons into the same place between them. Okay, so I think what's important about this example is the fact that, see how this beam is split and this beam is split, but because there's an overlap, you only put one beam here. This process continues until all the tachyon beams reach a splitter or exit the manifold. To repair the teleporter, you first need to understand the beam splitting properties of the tachyon manifold. In this example, a tachyon beam is split a total of 21 times. So that's the expected value. So we'll do expected is 21, and then we need to get our example input, which is going to be this guy. And then we need to go to work. Installed Rust and Rust over yesterday. Nice, things are getting serious, 199. Good morning, Minister of Defense. Good to see you again. Hope you're doing well. Mana Valan, what do you do for a living? You can find me on LinkedIn here, but I work as a quality engineer for a software company. We build a SaaS platform for GRC professionals. But you can creep on my LinkedIn there. It's linkedin.stephenfreeborn.com, and I'll tell you kind of all about my evolution in the corporate world. The long story short is basically I started my life as a personal trainer / I worked as a personal trainer, had a small business doing personal training. And at the same time, I worked as a medical scribe in the emergency department. This was all while I was going to school for a degree in biochemistry. When I got my biochemistry degree, my first corporate job was I was a research and development food scientist for a large frozen food manufacturer. I did that for like 5-6 years. And then I made the switch over to a technology company as a support person. And then I've just kind of slowly weaseled my way into more technical, more challenging positions uh, by essentially upskilling myself. And then whenever presented with opportunities to demonstrate those skills, taking advantage of that. What is a GRC professional? A GRC professional, GRC stands for governance, risk, and compliance. So it'd be like an auditor or a compliance analyst. Like a lot of companies have to do like SOC 2 compliance, or what are some other things? Maybe you need to do like third-party risk management, these sorts of activities. The software that the company I work for makes helps facilitate that. And all that is to say that my stream has nothing to do with my company or what I do professionally. They're kind of two separate things. So all disclaimers that should go here, please put them here. None of my opinions represent that of my employer. Oh, you're conspiring against us with the man? Not me. Not me. Not me. Hoping to play around with it mid next year. Still want to get some Python projects done. Yeah, dude, go for it. Python, Rust, go for it, man. I'm rooting for you. Okay, so how do we do this? I think the first thing we have to do is we have to figure out where we start, right? That's probably the first thing to do. So let's get our input. We'll do file dot read all lines like this, and then pass in the file path. And so the first thing we got to do is we got to loop, right? So we're gonna get the num of rows. Excuse me, num of rows is going to be the length of input, and then the num of columns is going to be the length of input at index 1. And then we're just going to need to loop over. Now the question is, well, yeah, we probably want to go row. We probably want to go row and then column. So we'll do for row range over the num of rows. Oops. And for num of columns, range over num of columns like this. And I actually think we want to do -1. -1. Because we don't want to go to the last, the length is always going to be 1 longer than the number of indexes that we have available. So what we want to do is we want to say if, let's see, value, yeah, that we can do value equals input at row at column. Oh, this should be column. So if that is, if b equals the start character, and I'll make this a constant, then we can break, and we can do start row and start column. This. And if we get here, let's do the constant real quick. Const start character equals, I think it's equal to S, right? Yeah, S, capital S. So if that's the case, oh, and this also needs to be casted. So if that is the case, then we're going to set start row equal to row, and we're going to start column equal to column. And if we get through all this, if start row is less than 0 or start column is less than 0, we know something's wrong with the input, so we'll just panic at this point. Panic, unable to find start location. And then down here, if we make it through here, we'll just print the start. So we'll say format.println, start row, start column, like this. Whoops, that's not what I meant to do. Did not mean to re-download the puzzle. 0, 7, which I think is correct. So it should be on the first row. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so 7. Writing lists feels like talking to a calculator. That sounds like an awful experience. Ryan was singing its praises, which I don't doubt them, but that sounds horrible. I'm going to a Code Up meetup later. 8 wanted to do a talk, but the speaker list is already long. That's a long speaker list, man. That's good that you have a meetup that has that many people who want to talk. Usually, the struggle with most meetups is you can't find people who want to talk. So that's pretty cool. Good morning, Rampla. How goes it in your neck of the woods? Doing well this morning? I meant I wanted to talk, not 8 wanted to talk. Oh. Well, you should still try to talk. Did you see my message on how a for loop looks? Let me see. List is just awesome. For loop is loop for I from 0 to 10. Do print I. Wow, that kind of reads like a legit sentence. No, it came through. Sorry, I just missed it. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Although, again, there's like couple sets too many of parentheses. I don't think I like the fact that they use parentheses to define the different statements. I wanted to talk about stackful versus stack list concurrency, maybe a bit heavy-handed. I mean, I think meetups are a great place for you to work out talks that you want to give, right? I mean, meetups are like, it's kind of like a comedian, right, going to a club to work out jokes. I think if you want to do presentations, meetups are a great place because they're low stakes, right? So like, who really cares if people like your presentation or not? You see in Lisp, everything is a list, so it has to be in parentheses. Interesting. Your whole program is a list. That's wild. The meetup is Code and Coffee. They have chapters all over the country. Do they really? Is there a website? I'd like to see if there's one here. I would love to go to a Code and Coffee meetup. That sounds like a blast. All right, so our start position, actually, our tachyon or our beam position, right? So initial, or let's see, beam start position or start row, and beam start column. So this equals the start column, but this guy equals the start row plus 1. I think is what that equals. Right? Because Christy, thanks for subscribing. Appreciate you. Jasper, thanks for subscribing. That's super kind. Because the start row beam start column. Oh, did you just try to post a link? YouTube probably stripped it, Minister of Defense. Let's see, code and coffee stand-up. I'll try to Google it. So your whole life is just a list of happenings, which are also a list of things happening, which are also lists. So basically, the list as a data structure rules all things. Oh wow, look at I'm like the first. I'm okay. Is that just because it's my Google? Why are my streams at the top? Oh, there's a St. Louis meetup. Code and coffee meetup. There we go. The dev meetup to make friends and grow. Oh yeah, there's one in Boston. Well, maybe I need to start one here in Kansas City. It doesn't look like they have one. Yeah, they don't have one. Dang it. So what do you got to do if you want to organize one? Whoops. It's a website. Oh, I'm gonna send them an email. I wonder why there's not one here in Kansas City. Kansas City feels like it's a big enough town where we should be on that list. Imagine if Google never existed. I DuckDuckGo'd that. Wild alternate reality. It would be a wild alternate reality. Or how about I didn't Google it, I asked Jeeves. Or instead of saying I asked ChatGPT, you'd say I asked Jeeves. Minister of Defense shocked that KC doesn't have one. Me too. Yeah, I need to email them. I googled coffee and code and you pop up for me. That's hilarious. Well, I guess when you pump out like 70 YouTube videos that have coffee and code in the title, you're bound to rank in some search results for those keywords. Imagine saying I made an X instead of a tweet. Yeah, the whole X thing is very strange. I don't really have much of a moral standing on it. It just sounds weird to say I posted that on X, or I mean, I always default to the natural thing of like he tweeted it, or did you see his tweet? But I know it's not Twitter anymore, so I'm old enough to remember an internet before Google. So I don't think I'm old enough to remember an internet before Google, because the first time I probably interacted with a computer regularly may have been like in middle school or high school. So this would have been like 2006, 7, 8, 9, those years when I was kind of like in middle school / high school. But even then, the only thing I was using computers for was mostly like school work. Like I didn't have a Facebook until I think I was 17. I never had a MySpace account. Um, yeah, none of that. I was not plugged in at all into internet land at that age. I was far more concerned with playing football and baseball and hanging out with my girlfriend and just being kind of a normal, or what I thought was a normal teenage, American teenager. So the whole getting into the web and learning the story of the web and the internet and everything was something that I didn't do until I was much older. LOL, I was grown and dating. You would meet a woman at a bar and you exchange MySpace info. Pretty fun times. That is wild. MySpace is the leading dating website. Yeah, shit like that makes me always think like everything that we're so worried and spun up about right now is just temporary, right? I mean, sounds like Minister of Defense has lived through enough cycles. He probably also knows that, but things change, right? Like nothing is permanent. This too shall pass. Early social media was crazy. I don't doubt that. But like I said, my first foray into social media was Facebook. I would have been like a senior in high school or maybe a junior in high school, and then the next thing after Facebook was Instagram. YouTube came on the scene for me at some point in there. But even then, YouTube was more like a place where I there wasn't really people making content that I followed. It was just a place where I would post videos that I wanted to share that were like exercise tutorials, and then I would watch how-to videos there. But there really wasn't anybody I subscribed to somebody's channel. That didn't come until much later for me. Using AIM, I just missed AIM. My sister's 2 years older than me, so that makes her what, 34. So I remember her being on Instant Messenger a lot, but myself, I missed that. I missed that fad. I was like maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years too young to be deep in the Instant Messenger game. I'm so focused to figure out how to solve this tachyon problem without going into linear search. Yeah, I think I'm going to use a breath first, like a breath first search type of approach. Here's what I'm going to do, I think. So basically now that I have a starting position, I should be able to keep track of what beams are active and what beams aren't. So 1 and 7. And I think I'm just going to use a queue to manage as I move through the rows. That's my current plan at the moment. I remember going from TV to YouTube because of the TV ads was too much. Now YouTube is becoming the same way. Yeah, the streaming services are basically ruining. The streaming services are basically taking us back to the cable days, unfortunately. Which is shitty. Super shitty. Yeah, okay, so we got this. Now I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep track of this with a map. So I'm going to do beams is equal to a map. And I think I'm going to use a position from my position module. So this is something from the other. And then I think I'm just going to do a bool this. And we're going to initialize it. And then I'm going to stick my starting. What do we want? Row and column. Beam start row. Beam start column. Missing a key. Oh, yep, you're right.
What are these ads you speak of? I've been a YouTube Premium subscriber since it was called YouTube Red. Dude, that's awesome. Yeah.
There's a lot of ads. As someone who doesn't have YouTube Premium, there's a lot of ads. Okay. Now I'm second guessing my approach here. What if instead of doing this, well, let me just try the brute force approach, right? So the brute force approach would be we're just gonna start iterating through the rows. So we'll say row, and we're gonna range to these. No, that's not gonna work. So we basically have to say row equals the beam start row, right? And as long as the row is less than the number of rows, right? So as long as we don't go off the end, we'll increment the row. Yeah, we'll increment the row. And then for column is going to be well, no, we don't really need to do that. So if we're looking at our I thought I had a good beat on this, but now I'm kind of wondering. So once we find out where we're starting the beam, we want to move down. Yeah, I think actually doing this with some sort of queue makes more sense, right? Because we could start the queue here and then take the last thing, or then we go, well, yeah, we grab the last thing that was in the queue, which would be this beam, and we would move the beam down one row, but keep the column the same. And if there's a splitter, then we add a beam to the right and a beam to the left. Right? And the only thing we do is we just need to add their positions. And then again on the next iteration, we take those beams off the queue, right? And so whenever we don't run into a splitter, right? So like when we go from here to here, then what we do is we add a beam position to the queue. Yeah, so I think actually, so let's do beams queue, right? And then we'll say for length of beams Q is greater than 0. Okay. So then we'll get the, how do we get the first in? So I guess we'll add to the bottom, we'll always take from the bottom. So first in goes on the bottom. Right? No, if we add to the bottom, then we want to take from the top. Yeah, we want to take from the top. So this would be current beam is going to be equal to beams Q. I really should have implemented a Q, like a class or data structure for a Q at some point. Oh, so this is, but that's a map, which isn't going to be helpful. So we're gonna okay, so this needs to be a slice. So we need to do a slice of positions like this. But we're also going to need to keep track of where we have been. So we'll take that off the top, and then we'll say beams Q now equals beams Q take from 1 to the end. Right? So this is basically just us dequeuing, taking the first item off the top is what this is doing. And then we also need to keep track of the places we've been, and that's where we need a map. So this is going to be our visited. I think that's classically what people called as the visited. And so for this, we'll use a map, which will be position.position. Like that. And we'll want to make that map to a Boolean. Which this means whenever we take something off the queue, we're essentially now visiting it. So we'll add it to the queue. I think. Maybe? I don't know. Maybe. Good thing I'm switching to Linux next month. Dude, what a journey that's going to be. You need to write some blog posts about that or make some YouTube videos about that. The beam can be a structure where you can spawn X amount of beams passed on next row. Everything you hit splitter, new beam node is spawned every time you hit it. Yeah, it sounds like you've got a good beat on the problem. I'm going to try to solve it over here, and you try to solve it over there. We'll see if we meet in the middle. Mr. D's Nuts. I envy people who manage to get out of tutorial hell. You'll be one of them too, D's Nuts. Nice username, by the way. You'll get out of there, man. Tutorial hell is a shitty place to be because it makes you feel like you don't know what you're doing, but you do know what you're doing. The fact is you just haven't had enough practice at translating what you know to new contexts. That's the frustrating part about it. So what I need to do here is we should do this. Well, let's do, instead of this, let's do beam start equals position dot from, and this is going to be start row plus 1, and then start column. So then we can just reuse that to say beam start, and we'll also initialize our map with beam start. When we get our beam, and we'll say, okay, great. Well, we need to get the character there, so we'll say const, or not const, sorry. We're not writing JavaScript. We'll say value equals input, I think input, right? Input at beams at current beam dot row and current beam dot column, like this. Oh, whoops. And this is going to be a string. We need to cast this. Now we need to check to see if it's a splitter, right? So if value equals splitter character, we're going to do something, and we'll continue. Otherwise, if it's not a splitter character, we'll do something else. Victor, thanks for subbing, man. Appreciate it. I'm still stuck at programming, but I'm a lot more ahead than most. Of course you are, man. Yeah, we're all on our own paths, right? So comparison's the thief of joy. I don't do tutorials. I just open an editor, start raw dogging it. That's why I hate Rust and Haskell. They demand you pay the tutorial tax. I love that. I love that approach to life. You basically just full send it. All right, we need a splitter character, and that is just going to be a character. This. So if it's a splitter character, then we basically want to add a beam, right? We want to put a beam in the queue. That's where we want to say, okay, great, we found a splitter, so now my beam becomes 2 beams. So we'll say beams queue dot append, and we'll say right beam will equal position dot from, and that will be the current beam row, and we're going right in our grid, so we do +1, and then we do current beam column. Oh no, sorry, the row stays the same, it's the column that changes. And then we do the same thing here for left beam, only now we're subtracting 1. And we are going to append both. Can you append multiple? So if I did right beam and left beam, oh nice. I don't think I've ever done that before. That's pleasant. Otherwise, then what we do is basically then that means the beam can just keep falling straight down. So that means we're just going to have a next beam equals position, and that's going to be the current beam row, and the current beam row plus 1 because it's going to keep dropping down, and then it's going to be current beam dot column. Yeah, the current column, and then we'll add that to the queue. Now there's some checks that I'm not doing that I need to do. Like that's what the visited map is for. I need to check to see if the item that I'm currently processing in my queue has been visited. So I think I need to add some checks up here that basically say if visited contains the current beam, right? Then we want to continue. We just pull it off, move on with our life. Or if let's see, if basically if it's not in bounds, right? So if current beam row is less than 0, or current beam row is greater than or equal to num of rows, we have a problem. And then we want to do the same thing for column. I think this will work. And what are we supposed to be counting? We're supposed to be counting the split count. So how many times it splits, right? And the only time it splits is when we hit the splitter. So what we can do is we can do total equals 0. And then every time we hit the split character, we can increment our total, I think. And then we can return our total. Alright. I say we give this a shot and see what happens, yeah? I don't feel very confident, but I think this is conceptually in the right direction. I want to switch over from GitHub because of them forcing AI so much. I don't know what do I switch to though. So I'm going to try setting up Git-T, Stefan. That's the thing I'm going to try to set up. I don't know if you guys have seen this. it's basically like apparently it's like a self-hosted GitHub. And they have the ability you can actually mirror your repos to GitHub if you want to mirror them, which seems pretty cool. But you can set it up, you can self-host it. I think they also have a cloud offering, but um, you can self-host it if you want to. It's like $9 per month per user for their hosted option. But this is what I want. It's not that I'm like necessarily opposed to GitHub, but I do kind of. It does kind of make me uneasy that, to be honest, GNU's rating Git is pretty bad. Really? Huh. Well, I'm gonna give it a try at the very least, and if it is bad, then so be it. But I do have a little bit of uneasiness about the fact that all of my the first thing that Git takes an L for is they don't seem to have a dark mode on their website, so L there. But it does make me a little uneasy. Like if GitHub for some reason was to ban my account, I would lose a ton of code that I've written over the years. You know, I don't really have my code saved anywhere else besides GitHub. I mean, it's obviously lives on some local machine somewhere at one time, but I don't really know, and I always just count on being able to get it from GitHub. But it's entirely possible I could do something wrong and GitHub bans my account, and then I'm shit out of luck. So that doesn't feel good. I don't think this should be running endlessly, should it? Oh no. Okay, so what have I done? Look at Discord DMs. Get on the server. Set. Oh, so you're like going straight to the source. You're gonna set up your own Git server. Hmm. Yeah, but you won't get any of the nice functionality that comes with GitHub, will you? You won't get actions. You won't get all those features. You'll just get source control. I'm not gonna do it. I don't have a server. Well, you need to get one. Get yourself a little cheap Dell Optiplex or something. Okay. So something interesting is going on here. This is just hanging. Why is this hanging? It's not printing anything. There we go. Oh my god, cancel. Okay, so what have I done wrong here? Because I'm literally just getting the same. Oh, that's because that's because I shouldn't be initializing that. What I should be doing is I should be saying, okay, if it's not invisited, we're gonna add it now. I was like, what is happening? Current beam, and we'll set that to true. I think that's what we want. maybe actually, let's get through all the checks first. Then we'll set it to true. Now let's see. This runs to completion. Nothing like making yourself an infinite loop, right? And just tell my parents it's like a router or something. Yeah, exactly, man. Just plug it in the corner and be like, "Yeah, mom, that boosts our Wi-Fi." Man, it just this why have I built an infinite loop out of this? I don't understand. I guess let's do print format dot print line print beam. It's taking a long time to run though, doesn't it? It seems like it's taking a long time to start running. Okay, so that means it's never getting there, is basically what that means. I'm so confused at what I've done wrong. Go test ain't testing. Yeah, I don't know. It's just hanging. I'm not sure what I did. I mean, I'm not doing anything crazy. I'm just looping over the rows initially. Then I just start the queue. I start looping here. But it's not printing anything. Solve part 1. Yeah, I'm calling the right method. Example.txt. I've got stuff in here. I'm reading from the right file. This is where I really should have a debugger hooked up. I've said that like 6 times and I've never stopped to hook up or set up a debugger. I should have done that before we started Advent of Code. That was a mistake. Because now I've been forced to resort to printf debugging, which is kind of painful. See, this doesn't make any sense. Why is it not? Well, it's because I've created an infinite loop is why. But I don't know why I've created an infinite loop. So queue is empty because we pulled off the current queue. So if current beam.row is less than 0, or current row.beam is greater than or equal to the number of rows, number of columns, the problem is the length of beam's queue shouldn't be greater than 0 anymore. So this should be exiting. Okay, well then let's just, okay, we're just gonna say, I'm gonna try to manually control this loop for a second. Because I don't understand what's happening. So if count is greater than 0. No, if count equals 0. So we're just, and then we're going to increment count. So we're just going to go through the loop once, basically. Okay. So we're here, we're there, we're there. Okay, so that means we're making it through the checks, which is what I would expect. I would expect us to get here. We set visited to true, that's fine. Value is going to equal next splitter character. And then we queue the next beam. So the next beam should be, we should advance the beam down a row, but keep it in the same column. And then we should add that to the queue. Okay, so let's remove this. Let's add some text here. So we'll say, well, actually, let's say dequeuing. How do you spell dequeuing? I don't know. Dequeuing. Dequeuing. Yeah, that's what I meant. I promise, I did go to college. So we're dequeuing here. And then let's say we're processing here. And then we'll say format dot let's do format dot println found splitter, and that's going to be, I'm just going to print the beams queue. Found no splitter, or found, I'm going to say found empty space. Okay, so we're dequeuing, we're processing, we found an empty space. So when we come back to the top, we should have this. Okay, so now let's increment this to say is count is less than 1 or less than 2. See what happens. Why do you change your YouTube profile so much? Do I change it a lot? I mean, I do change it, but I don't feel like I changed it a lot, you know? But what's a lot, right? I don't know. What is a lot? All right, so something's happening here. So the queue is not really being reset, so I don't understand Oh, I see. You guys see my problem? I'm I'm basically shadowing. So this, the beams queue declared in this scope was overriding the beams queue declared in that scope. That's what was happening. There we go. All right. I think I think now we can go back to setting this to while length of beams queue is greater than. That was a dumb mistake on my part, wasn't it? Hey, looky there. I think well, at least we solved the example input. Let's go. I was like, I was like, man, I swear this is how I've implemented breadth first search like this before for similar problems. Let's go. Dude, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything more nerdy than getting excited because a unit test passes. That's so fucking nerdy, man. I used to get excited when I fucking would smash somebody in the mouth in a football game, and now I get excited because I got a unit test to pass. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Actually, I still probably the most exciting thing is hitting a PR in the gym. When you hit a PR in the gym, I currently have some pull-up goals at the moment, and I weigh like 250, you know. So like when I say I can do 6 pull-ups, I mean I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but I mean that's pretty. I mean hauling my body up over a bar 6 times is pretty good. But I've been trying to increase that over the last few months. But whenever you hit a new PR, there's nothing like it. You need a dopamine button? We do, don't we? We need some sort of animation where the dopamine floods onto screen. How about that? 250, but you're stocky as fuck. Yeah. Yeah, I mean at some point I have to slim down. I need to make that a priority at some point. Maybe in this new year I need to slim down. There's just no reason for me to carry this much. I mean, there is some good weight to it, but most of it's bad weight, and I need to get some of it off now that I'm a dad. I want to be able to live longer, and I want to see my kids and my grandkids. And Stefan, I'm heavier, Steven. Remember that. Yeah, but still, I mean, there's nothing wrong with being heavy, you know. But there comes a time in life when longevity matters more than necessarily being the biggest, strongest, in the gym. I'm 170, skinny, 6'2". Dude, 6'2". I would have given in high school, my senior year of high school, I would have given just about anything to be 6 foot. Every college recruiter that I talked to, I talked to college recruiters from Missouri Southern, which was the college that was in my hometown, Truman State, Villa. They were all like D2 NAIA schools, but every person that I talked to about playing football in college, they would always say the call would always go something like this. They'd be like, "We love your tape, we love your motor, but you're just not. If you were 6 foot, we could give you a scholarship." And I was always like, "Damn it, mom and dad, these fucking genetics." uh, I was 6 foot by 10th grade, dude. That's awesome. Yeah, unfortunately I did not get height, and unfortunately it doesn't look like my sons will get height either. Such is life. Height segregation is crazy. I mean, in sports it matters, I mean, that's like big bodies. It matters, especially when recruiters, because recruiters a lot of times, they're looking for value, right? They're looking for the guy who kind of has the raw intangibles and they can shape them. They'd much rather take somebody with a lot of upside over someone that's maybe meet their met like who has pushed the current abilities of their skin sac to its fullest potential, right? So it's tough. Could have been a beefier. I wasn't fast enough, you know. I, I think my 40 time was like 4.7, 4.8. Like it just I wasn't fast enough. At least in high school. That would be pretty funny to see what my 40 time is now. Yeah, defense was my thing. I was a very smart, coachable player, but just I just don't think I had the size really to make it beyond high school football, unfortunately. But now I get to see at least for now, my oldest son is pretty into sports, so now I just get to enjoy watching him travel that journey. I don't try to participate in it that much. I just try to encourage, like, if he wants to play sports, I try to encourage him, but they don't have to play sports if they don't want to. I kind of made up my mind as a dad that I wasn't gonna. While I think they should play sports, and I think there's a lot to be gained from playing sports, I made up my mind that I wasn't gonna be one of those like fathers who tried to like live their life through their sons. You know, I always felt that was kind of lame. Okay, 1581 is what we got. So let's see if that's the right answer. If I ever saw you, Steven, if I ever saw you, I would wrestle you, Steven. That is a compliment. Oh, for sure. We could totally get down on the mats, man. Yeah, which I never did ask you. You said you'd gotten into wrestling. Like, what style of wrestling is this folk style wrestling? Is this Roman Greco? Is this Olympic style wrestling? What kind of wrestling are you doing? But yeah, I would definitely, yeah, we can get on the mats anytime. I didn't wrestle in high school, but I did do I got a blue belt in jiu-jitsu from like 2016 to 2020. I did like jiu-jitsu for like almost 4 years, like it was like somewhere between 2 and 4 years, and made it to the blue belt rank. I'd love to start jiu-jitsu again, um, and I just haven't. I need to pull the trigger on that. Need to find a school here in Kansas City. Dislocated my collarbone during practice, and it's still dislocated 15 plus later. Oof, that's painful, man. I mean, knock on wood, the worst injury I ever had in a sport was I sprained my ankle pretty bad one week during football, but that was about, knock on wood, that's about the worst injury I've had. I've been real lucky in that sense. Brawl MMA, what's up, man? Sorry, I missed your entrance into the chat 7 minutes ago, so I apologize. I wasn't ignoring you, but I see you. Oh, also, Network Bibs was here for a bit. I haven't seen that guy in a long time. We actually had to we banned Network Bib from the channel for a bit, but good to see you, man. Hope you're doing better. All right, there we go. Some judo and BJJ as well. We focus on Greco-Roman movements though. It's mostly freestyle. Nice. Yeah, very cool, man. That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, you need to get us some video in Discord. Set up your phone sometime and get us a clip of your session. That'd be fun. Bala says, "Hi, I love Golang." Nice. Well, we're doing. I'm very, very new to Golang. I started learning Golang at the beginning of November, and I basically, the purpose of learning it was so that I could use it for Advent of Code, and so far it's going pretty well. We're on day 7, part 1, which I realize for a lot of people Advent of Code is over already because there was only 12 days of puzzles. But what I decided was I was going to split the 12 days into 24 days and just do one part a day for each puzzle, and that's been a ton of fun. Much more manageable for me personally to stick with it. And if you don't know what AOC is, I just put the link to it in the chat in case you're interested. Oh shoot, I cleared our answer from the terminal. 1581. So this would be day 7, part 1. All right, get the dopamine button ready. Hopefully this works. Hey, let's go. That's crazy, man. That's awesome. Yeah, so breath first search was the way to go on that one. That was actually pretty fast and pretty quick. It took 0.3 seconds. But I wonder, I kind of have a sneaky feeling, if I had to guess based on prior experience with advent of code, this is not going to be useful for part 2, if I had to guess. This was so straightforward that I bet part 2 is it's gonna require us to do something wholly different that this doesn't work for. If I had to guess. And when that time comes, we will meet it gladly. We don't need the count anymore. Count should not be there. We can get rid of that. We don't need any of these print statements. I think that's it. I do have I did build a grid package, and I'm wondering, can I refactor this to use the grid? See, so I have this grid interface. I'm wondering, I could... Yeah, I could probably... I'm not going to do that right now, but I think I definitely could get away with refactoring this to a grid. But let's just commit what actually solved our problem, and then we'll refactor. So let's open Visual Studio Code, and let's update our README before we get to do that. Coffee, yeah, Filthy Potato knows what time it is. Coffee time, coffee time. We need a song. We need a jingle. Actually, hold on. Let's do FIFO for life. Okay. And we get status. Oh, we also need to update our test case with the actual right answer. So the actual right answer was 1581, right? And, oh, also this was testing part 1, not part 2. With input. With example input. Go test. Let's just test everything. Hell yeah, look at that. It all passes. Go test, or let's clean the cache, dude. Clean the test cache. Go test. Woohoo! Git, add, git commit, im, feature solved day 7, part 1. I basically ended up with such solution that... Are you trying to say you ended up with a similar solution using a queue? Or are you saying that you ended up with something else? Good morning, Butterscotch. We do need a coffee time jingle. Yes, we do. There's lots of things that I could probably do to make my stream more entertaining or more on brand, and I just need to sit down and do some of the creative legwork. Like, I think it would be fun to have a soundboard. I think it would be fun to have some, like, thematic music that we play at different segments of the stream, you know? There's a fine line between, like, making it too complicated to do something that then it starts taking mental space, and when you have other things in life that are already going on, then it's like, if something becomes too big of a chore, then you're less likely to do it. So there's like this balancing act for me personally, where it's like I have a lot of these ideas, but at the same time I don't want to make streaming so convoluted that it's not as simple as just like firing up the terminal, turning the camera on, and going, you know? Which is basically all my content boils down to, is like, oh, I'm sitting down to write some code, let me turn the camera on. That's about all the forethought that goes into most of it, most of the time. Delete the branch, yeah. Submit. Okay, and then let's do, I think we do want to refactor this, so let's do git checkout refactor use grid in day 7 part 1. All right, time for coffee. I'm gonna go set that stuff up and then I'll be right back. I actually don't know where the coffee's from today. I usually take a peek before, but don't know where it's from today. Yesterday it was from Mexico, which is pretty cool. First coffee I've ever had that was grown in Mexico. All right, one sec. All right, to the coffee station. Here we go.
Booyah.
Chat,
I'm in here. All right, I'm coming. Also, it's not day 12, it's day 13, right? Yeah, day 13. This is called Krampus. Hell yeah. Yeah, Krampus coffee, right? Gotta heat up our coffee. First things first, you need water. So final solution for me was basically to spawn beams, and in each iteration it will check for X amount of beams if they hit a splitter. So I'm only caring about beam position per iteration, and it's checking only direct cell underneath beam every time. Well, that sounds good. Yeah, man. Killer. Look at us over here just solving stuff. Okay, so the tasting notes for this are bruleed grapefruit. What the fuck is that? Chocolate cake, I like. Tobacco, that doesn't entice me. Viscous? Is that really a tasting note? Viscous? This is a selection from Kenya's Key Factory, part of the Rungeto Farms Cooperative Society. I have no idea what that is or who those people are, but hopefully they make good coffee. Hopefully they make good coffee. All right. Loud noises. Tell you what, this has been a great month of December. Super excited for Christmas. I like this time of the year. All right, loud noise. I moved my grinder over here because I ran out of plugins over by the actual heater. Imagine how cool it would be to have a coding roommate. Yeah, that would be pretty awesome. It'd be pretty awesome just to have more friends, more IRL friends. I mean, the streaming has been awesome because I've met so many cool people like you guys who are into kind of the same thing I'm into. But it would definitely be cool to make some more IRL friends that enjoy the same stuff I do. I wonder if I could start a meetup that involves drinking coffee, lifting weights, and writing code. I don't know what I would call it. And I honestly don't know how much overlap there is between those three groups of people. People who like coffee, who like to lift weights, and like to write code. I'm guessing the intersection there is actually pretty small. I would love just to have some friends that are into coding. Yeah, they're out there, man. They're out there. I mean, it's the internet the internet makes it easy to find other people online, but there are definitely people in real life that we can find. This takes time. It takes a lot of, especially as you get older, finding friends in real life takes a shit ton of intentionality. Like you really have to, it turns into like this very awkward, nerdy, intentional experience where you kind of have to go back to like kindergarten where you're like, do you want to be my friend? Same. Want to be friends? Sure, man. Yeah, for sure. If you guys are into that thing, let me know. Butterscotch. Everything ticks for me. That's great. Well, I'm great. You guys are here. I'm scrolling back on chat. Or on chat, sorry. I'm scrolling back on chat. Yeah, I love this coding problem so much. Yeah, advent of code is a blast, man. It is a literal blast. I have many friends that are into coding too, but I hate them because they write some terrible code. But that's part of the fun, right? That's part of the fun of having friends that write code is you get to see other people's approaches. I mean, that's actually been my favorite thing about. So what I do for work, I don't really work on our engineering team per se, but I still get visibility into all the PRs and all the code that our engineering team writes, which we don't have a very large team, but it's fun because I basically read every single PR that any of the engineers open, not because I'm trying to be critical, just because I want to try to improve, and get better. And so it's really interesting to see that over time, I can almost tell whose PR it is without even looking at the name on the PR. I can just tell by the code. The way they name methods, the way they structure things, kind of the way they use if-else statements, all the control flow, all those things. It's funny how there's literal personality in the code we write, which is I think is pretty. I think that's the part of coding that people don't understand. A lot of people that have never done it before, they think that coding is inherently this very like scientific, prescriptive thing, but there's actually a lot of craftsmanship and creativeness to it that oftentimes people don't give credit for. Which I think sucks. Norsec, never thought I'd see you outside of the terminal, Steven. Oh, no, man. I'm outside the terminal all the time. All the time. This is the coffee station we set up for Advent of Code. I bet there isn't a single person in Serbia other than me that is interested in Lisp. Well, I'm not sure how many people there are in the world that are interested in Lisp, Stefan. So I think you're fighting an uphill battle there. All right, chat, come back in here. We're gonna wait for the coffee to make. I need a haircut. I have to take my kids to get a haircut today or tomorrow. I once learned that there isn't just one way to solve a problem. It made me solve problems way differently. Yeah, totally. When you realize that you have some creative freedom, that is a big moment. Norsec, magic. It does kind of feel like magic. Steven Nation, Coffee Nation, Machine. I haven't seen anyone in real life even use Vim, brother. Yeah, I haven't either. Yeah. I've never seen even when I went to KCDC, like at Kansas City Developer Conference, everyone who presented used Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code or Writer. I saw most presenters use Visual Studio Code. And then when you got into like more .NET specific stuff, I saw a lot of Visual Studio, a lot of Writer.
But for the vast majority of people, I think that are programming and coding, they're using Visual Studio Code and they're using some sort of mouse-centric workflow, which is interesting. That's the majority of people writing code. 99% of people here are doing coding just for the money. I think there are, but I mean, I think that's totally okay. Like it's okay just to want to do your job. You know, that you found something you're good at and people want to pay you decent salary for, and you find your passions outside work. I don't think there should be this pressure on developers or programmers to need to like eat, live, breathe, sleep technology. And at some point it might be me. At some point I might decide, okay, I'm ready to take on a new thing. Who can predict where we're all going to be in 10 years, right? God forbid nothing happens to us, but let's say in where are you in 40 when you're 40? Where are you when you're 50? I mean, try to really think about that. Try to project yourself forward 10, 20, 30 years. What are you going to be interested in? How will the world have changed? What new things will have been invented or come along that pique your interest more than what exists today? Butterscotch. Neovim now supports native LSP support. Gonna do a whole rewrite of my Neovim config using minimal plugins. Nice. Nice. So I guess Butterscotch, my question is, I had to rewrite my, um, I had to redo my LSP configs to use, what was it? It was like vim.lsp. Yeah, I had to rewrite all my configs to look like this. So instead of using mvim LSP, I'm actually using this API. Is that what you're talking about? The native LSP support, or are you talking about something different? They basically deprecated I think it's mvim LSP config. I think they deprecated this from what I understand. Or maybe they deprecated this LSP config, the legacy framework. I don't know. But I'd love to make sure I stay up with the latest in the Neovim world. So keep me up to date, Butterscotch. People work at gas stations for money. I want money, so whatever it takes. I'm with you, Filthy Potato. I'm with you, man. I am a ruthless, like when it comes to money, I have a goal. I know the number I need to hit, and I'm chasing it with gazelle-like intensity to hit my number.
I switched to the wrong scene. That's funny. This coffee smells good. All right, day 13 is in the books. Also, if you're new here, and I haven't showed this to you before, look at this packaging. Look how cool that is. It's like a work of art. My favorite part of the box is this part where it says, I don't know if you guys can see that, it says never settle for good enough, which I vibe with. All right, coffee time's over. To the office.
And we're back. Step into the office. It is a very fancy box. I'll bet that packaging was very expensive to design and very expensive to manufacture. Compared to just like a brown bag. Steven, you have to upgrade to Neovim 0.11 and above, if not already, and put all your LSP configs in LSP dir. Vim will detect those files. How do I see what version of Neovim I'm on? Neovim version. How to check Neovim version. Just invim -- version, easy peasy. I think I'm on that. I think I'm on a version higher than that. Yeah, I'm on 11.5. So it sounds like what you're telling me is that it would be supported. But I don't think I don't have all my LSP configs in an LSP dir like that. They're all in a single file. So I guess I would have to restructure. I don't know. When you do the overhaul butterscotch on your config, would you share them with us or with me? I mean, I really just want them for myself, but if we can all benefit. I would wait for 0.12 so that you can make use of native package manager. Oh, they're getting a native package manager. That's cool. What's up, you lazy? What's up, man? How are you? Which I don't really want to call you, like I don't want to say you lazy. Like what do you go by? I feel like I'm insulting you when I read your comments. You lass. Okay, you lass. Sorry. You lass. I'm so sorry. That was very shitty of me. So Neovim is getting a native package manager. That's news to me. Neovim native package manager. Neovim now has built-in package manager vim.pack. What? Dude, I love it when like projects or companies or just people in general have good personality. This is this is hilarious. Okay, so vim.pack is the native package manager that they're bringing to Neovim. Is that what I'm understanding? How do I wonder, can I see like a feature list for version 12? Neovim version 12 details? But 0.12, sorry. I started using Go again with you, like instead of LazyVim. Yeah, it sounds like that. You can use you'll be able to use this package manager instead of the third parties, which is, I use Lazy right now. Which I'm not saying that there's a good reason to move out of Lazy other than you just want to try. Okay, so the year of batteries included. The year of Neovim out of the box. So plugin manager, nice. No more press enter. I don't know what this means. UI, connect, restart. Excuse me, Lua remote plugin host. Don't know what that means. Task abstraction and structured concurrency. Ooh, vim.async. Cool. UI block level elements so plugins can reason about regions. UI affordance indicator so users know which elements they can interact with. Unified event interface. Man, they have some serious plans for this thing, don't they? I wonder how the people who work on Neovim support themselves. Is there like a foundation, or like how do they all just do it out of the kindness of their own heart? This PR adds a minimal built-in plugin manager. This is a first step towards resolving. A general design is a minimized LOC. Here's a demo, common workflows at latest PR state. Okay. Show me your demo. It's all from the command. It looks like there's not really any UI to it like Lazy, is there? Vim pack.add, and then you just specify the source, the version, the name of the plugin. Huh. Yeah, that's pretty baller. I mean, I'm down with that. I mean, I wish the UI, I wish it had more of like a fancy UI like Lazy, but that's, maybe it will when it actually gets released. That's pretty cool. News section of Neovim. Do you use LazyGit inside Neovim? I don't use LazyGit inside of Neovim, but I do use LazyGit. I just use it from the command line. LazyGit. I just use this. Did someone make it so you can use it in Neovim? That's news to me. Let's see. LazyGit Neovim plugin. What does that look like? The best. Okay. Is this the one you use? Double check me, you last. Is this the one you use right here? Volk. Hello, Volk. How are you? Good to see you, man. Good morning. Using it currently made it simple. Okay. Oh yeah, it like opens a pane over the top of the. Oh, I love that. I actually love that. Feel free to use any plugin manager. Call LazyGit to start a floating window with LazyGit in the current working directory. Set up a mapping to call LazyGit. Open the configuration file. Okay, I'm gonna add this, man. I'm gonna do this right now. This looks really cool. Let's close that. See, this is one of the best parts about streaming is people inform me of things I didn't even know existed. So let's do edit, or actually let's go to my Neovim config. And let's do get status, get add, hold on, get diff. What did I do to this? I have no idea why that has such a large diff. And then let's edit them. Advent of code? No, advent of Neovim. Well, we did solve our advent of code problem for the day. So I do want to say we did take care of business. Now we're doing some side quests. What's up, Butterscotch? Oh, you moved your username back. Nice. I'm sorry if you didn't want me to call you Butterscotch. That's just I remember that being your original username or your display name in my chat before YouTube changed it, so I saw everyone's username. So see, I used to see everyone's display name in my chat. Now I see everyone's username in my chat. So there was people who I would always talk to by their display name, and I just kept doing that because I knew your profile picture. So if you ever want me to call you something differently, just tell me, you know? Although if you tell me to call you something kind of weird, I'm probably not going to do it. So where should I put this? I don't know. I guess we can put this in its own plugin. We'll say lazy get.lua. And then how do we set this up? So we do copy. We don't have to return it though, do we? Oh no, I guess we do. Okay. Lazy is true. Optional for floating window. Yeah, that's fine. Leader LG. I don't think I have anything that conflicts with that. CD. I haven't messed with my Neovim configs in a very long time, but it looks like it all installed successfully. So that's good. So then I should be able to do leader LG. Let's go. I love this, man. That's pretty freaking awesome. Okay, cool. Very cool. And it's still got all the same keybinds. Yeah, I like that. And then how do I exit it? Just Control C. So I can do LG to open it. And then I guess I can just... Yeah, how do you close it? I guess Control C is how you close it. You can also show the diffs inside the Neovim file. Plus for added. Tilde for deleted or changed. Q. Control C. Okay, so just Control C. So you just kill it like you're in a terminal, basically. Okay, cool. Yeah, I love that, man. Well, first of all, thank you for coming to my stream, and second of all, thank you for coming to my stream and making my Neovim configuration better. I appreciate you. That's very kind. So what we were gonna do before we hung up the stream today is we were gonna try to refactor this to use my grid abstraction. So I made a grid abstraction earlier in Advent of Code, and so I was gonna see if I could basically, I was gonna see if I could basically figure out how I can reuse this abstraction to make my solution a little less verbose, maybe. I think the first thing I need to do is I just need to make a grid. So I need to say equals grid dot from input. Try not to use Control C. It sends unnecessary interrupt signals to Windows. Use the Q instead. Okay, I'll use Q. I'll stick with that. Thank you for the advice, man. Appreciate that. I've been waiting 4 days for my finals to be graded. Fuck. That sucks, man. Oh, that sucks. Professors, the thing is though, you would think professors would be so much more. Okay, so just follow my logic here. Professors are by definition people who usually have masters or PhDs, right? Which means they were in university for a long time, which means they took a lot of finals, which likely means they experienced anxiety after taking said finals, like we all experience, which which I think means that they should have a lot of empathy and should place a very high priority on getting grades returned as soon as possible to people, right? So people can enjoy their holidays and enjoy their break. Like, get the damn things graded, let people know where they stand so they can put it behind them. Why wouldn't they do that? Why wouldn't they want to do that for folks? I got DBMS exams day after tomorrow. Haven't studied as shit. Well, Butterscotch, guess what you're doing today? You're studying DBMS. Volk, do you have experience with CI/CD? I guess I have experience in the terms of I've set up I've set up GitHub workflows to do CI/CD stuff. So it just depends. I think CI/CD is such a big conversation, and people use it to describe a lot of different things. So I think it just depends on what you're looking for experience in. Like, I've never written Terraform, right? Like, I've never done infrastructure as code type of stuff, right? But I have built, I guess, pipelines for my own stuff to deploy projects. You know, run pipelines when PRs are open, run pipelines when things are merged to main, that type of stuff. That I do have some experience with. Good morning, creatives. Sorry, I didn't see you show up in the chat there. So, good morning. University is a business. University is a business. And universities have done some of the most horrible things to young people in, at least in the United States, where universities know that most college students take out loans to go to pay for their services, right? Most universities know that students take out loans to pay for the university's services. Because of that, universities know how much financial aid students can qualify for. So I believe that universities have either knowingly or unknowingly inflated the price of education in accordance with the amount of money that students can qualify for, right? Like, if you're the university, why would you not do that? Right? Because it basically means you get to maximize your revenue and somebody else is on the hook for paying for it, and the loans are backstopped by the US government. So what's the risk, right? There's no risk. So the universities get to run up the prices and students get to take the bill. It's a pretty shitty system here in the States, in my opinion. I took it on Tuesday. It wasn't due until today, but like, why can't they grade it early? Why wait until next week? Yeah, I mean, great. If you're a professor, why not grade it as you get it? It would keep you from getting buried under a mountain of work. I had my C++ final and I didn't study. I can write the code, but when it comes to the nitty-gritty of questions, I lose all knowledge. Taking a final over C++ does not sound fun. But I guess that's what you have to do if you want to get a... I guess your major is probably like computer science, filthy potato, or something like that. Volk, I want a linter and a format with Golang CI lint every time if I want to push, so it's getting checked and formatted. Oh, here, Volk, you might take a look at this then. I set up basically something like what you're describing for this. There you go. Take a look at this workflow. So this workflow, it lints my Go code, and it runs Golang CI -lint, right? So it lints it, and then you could probably ignore this So maybe take a look at this one. I can link to it if you want. I think the first job in there, let's see, look at job named lint. And I think that does what you want it to do. How you translate that to the CI/CD system you're working with might be different. Like if you're using Azure DevOps or GitLab or something like that, it might be a little different. But I would guess it's something similar to this, right? You just check out your repo, you set up Go on that runner, and then you're going to use this Golang CI. I'm using an action. I don't even think you have to use an action. You could probably just install this tool and then run it via the command line on the runner. But there's on GitHub Actions, there's an existing action that kind of abstracts all that away from you. So maybe that'll be helpful. The Army pays for my school, so it's all free for me, no loans for me. And they should. First of all, again, Filthy Potato, thank you for your service. The government should pay for your school. They should pay for as much school as you want to do. As someone who served in the military, if you want to go get a PhD, they should pay for it. And I will happily pay whatever taxes need to be paid for people to have that benefit. I'm going for my master's. That's awesome, dude. Let's go. Oh, you're studying cybersecurity. Nice. So you have to learn C++ in the cybersecurity track. That's cool. I would not have guessed that learning C++ was a requirement for a cybersecurity degree. So that's pretty cool. All right, back to the refactor. So we don't need these anymore because we have our grid. So we can say grid dot number of rows, and we can also do grid dot number of columns. We also don't have to do this anymore either. We can just say yep, do that. So we'll say current equals position dot from current and then I think we can do var start position declared and not used. Well, we're going to use it. So we could say start position equals current. That. What is the default of this? So maybe, is it going to be nil? If start position equals nil? I don't know. I need to ask Gemini. Learning C++. I'm going for Stefan. I need help. What do you need help with, Stefan? I'll be happy to try to help you if I can. Learning C++ is more for how to read the code, since most malware is made in C++ because of all the memory manipulation, and it's difficult for systems to detect. Oh, interesting. So I guess I didn't realize that. So there are some cybersecurity professionals that actually just spend time reading C++ source code. That's interesting. I did not know that was a skill set that cybersecurity analysts needed, or people that worked in that field needed. I'm kind of worried. Stefan said he needed help, and then he went quiet. Oh, also, I realized I completely took off my logo. This whole. Actually, I think my logo has been missing for like 3 streams now, or 2 streams now. Whoopsies. Give me something to make with my current knowledge so I can practice. You mean your current knowledge of Lisp? Is that what you're saying? Like, what could be fun to make that doesn't go outside of effing loops? I have an idea. You know how people will use, like, could you make a program that creates, like on the terminal? So what am I trying to say? So make a program that accepts some argument and then creates a image on the terminal that looks like this. It's basically like a stair step, almost like a bar graph looking thing. Right? So if you give me the number 4 on the terminal, you're going to create bars that look like this. I don't know if you know how to write to standard out in Lisp, but you could do that. Make a loading bar. Oh yeah, that'd be good. A loading bar would be good. Yep. That'd be really good. I'm not the most imaginative. When I need project ideas, I almost always just ask an LLM. Hey, what are some good ideas for this? Oh, yeah, I was trying to find out. In Go, if I declare an uninitialized variable of an interface type, what is the default value of that variable? In Go, the default value of an uninitialized interface variable is nil. Okay, cool. So if nil, we couldn't find the start location. And then this is going to be position dot I think I kind of want to add another method here. Let's add a method to position.go that says it's gonna have a receiver. It's gonna be a receiver type. So we'll say func p move, and we'll say it takes a move. Don't I have a move? A direct? Do I have a? Yeah, I have a move. So we want move dot move. Number of rows. And this will be number of columns. So Copilot almost had it right, but not quite. You were close. So So then I should be able to do this. So I can say the beam start is going to be equal to the start position dot move, right? Oh, whoops, I didn't need to add that to the interface. Move position is going to be move down. Yeah, move down. And then we do our beam skew, we add our beam start. And what we can do here is, instead of doing these checks, what we can do is we can use our grid, and we can say if grid dot inbounds is false, that will continue, which means we can get rid of this check. And then instead of doing all this nonsense, we can say value equals grid dot get value at the current beam, which is the current beam position is what that is. And then we can also simplify this logic now, so we can say move, we'll say current beam dot move right, and then this is going to be current beam dot move left, v to the end, delete, move left. Thank you, Copilot. And this is going to be next beam. Yep, just like that. So that's a little cleaner. I mean, it's not like a significant refactor, but I think it reads a little cleaner. It does cleans up an if check. The only part I think I don't like is I think we need to make a queue. What do you guys think? I think we need to have a queue that I don't have to worry about doing this, that I just add things to it and dequeue from it, and the internals take care of all the slicing logic. That's what I think. So I think I'm going to make a package for that. Shift D will delete till the end of the line. Will it really? Shift D. Oh man. Dude, Butterscotch, that's killer, bro. Again, leveling up my Vim foo skills again. You know, one thing that you taught me, Butterscotch, that I use all the time now is I do selection inside things all the time. So like VI parens, that has been a game changer for me. And this one is probably going to be a game changer for me too. So Shift D. Okay, Shift D. I love that. Absolutely love that. Hey, what's up, Wilo Gamer Pro? Good morning, man. Sorry I missed your chat there. Good morning. How are you doing, man? Good to see you. Hope you're having yourself a wonderful Saturday morning. Or I guess it's probably not Saturday morning for you, but hopefully you're having yourself a wonderful Saturday. Creatives. Hey, Steven, since you live in the West, is it easier for you to build a startup? I don't know how to answer that, honestly, creatives. Like, it is pretty easy to start a business in the United States. Like, you can just start a business tomorrow, essentially. Like, you just basically treat it like a sole proprietorship, which means all the income, anything you make as a part of your business activity, you basically report it as part of your normal income tax filing. Um, so it's pretty easy like to just start a business. However, the problem I think a lot in the United States is just there's a lot of regulations that I think in a lot of cases when people start businesses, they don't even know all the regulations that they need to be staying up to date with or current with in their particular industry. So there's always a risk, right? There's always a lot of risk with starting a business. It's easy to start, but once you start, you're taking on a lot of risk. Like there's also in the United States we have this concept of strict reliability, which means that essentially I didn't know isn't a justifiable excuse, right? So if you start a business and you realize you weren't doing XYZ thing that you should have been doing, you're still liable for it, right? There's no like, oh, well, you didn't know. Oh, well, that's okay. Well, now, just a little, you just have to be thoughtful about it, I guess, So it's easy to get started. And then once you get started, you just want to make sure you're doing your best to be aware of everything you're supposed to be doing, you know? What insurances should you have or need? You probably don't want to run a business as a sole proprietorship because it exposes you individually for liability reasons. So you probably want to set up an LLC. Um, yeah, you probably just, if you want to start a business, you probably just want to take the time to go talk to an accountant and talk to a lawyer and get some advice on things that you should or shouldn't be doing. That's probably the best way to go about it. I can't really say if it's easier here than it is somewhere else because I've never lived somewhere else. I've only ran a tiny small personal training business for about 3 years, 4 years, and that's about the extent of my experience with entrepreneurship thus far in my life. Two Man Army. Good morning, Two Man Army. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Also, while deleting anything, try using D motion and not backspace. Okay. Let me see if I know what you mean here. But when you're in insert mode, right, don't you use backspace? I guess what you're saying is don't delete things in insert mode. So how do you just delete a single character then? How do you just delete a single character, Butterscotch, if you're using D motion? So, like, BD? Oh, you have to do visual selection. Huh. I don't know. Sometimes it's more convenient when I'm in insert mode to use backspace. Creatives bureaucracy. It's not really bureaucracy. It's just with any industry, there's laws and regulations, and just in business in general that you're supposed to be following, like good accounting practices, and just like when I was running my personal training business, I didn't realize that I should have been collecting sales tax for like the first year of the business. And so I had to eat the cost of the sales tax the first year. I didn't pass it on to the clients. And then in the next year, I had to raise prices to account for the sales tax, which was kind of a painful experience. But I just thought, well, I'm selling a service. I didn't think that I needed to collect sales tax on the service. Well, turned out in the state of Missouri, personal training services had been essentially ruled to fall under whatever statute or regulation oversees that. So that was kind of painful. So stuff like that, right? It's like things like that you just wouldn't know until you start. And that's part of being an entrepreneur, part of being in business is like you have to have a willingness to just figure stuff out, right? Like you're not going to have all the answers day one, and so you have to be willing to jump in with 2 feet and just go heads down and figure shit out. It can be painful, but it is what it is, Stefan, you want them to be horizontal or vertical? I would do it like vertical. So it's almost like stairs, you know? It's almost like you're drawing stairs for someone to walk up on the terminal. And then maybe you could animate you could animate a little stick figure walking up the I don't know, that might be kind of hard. Butterscotch, like if you want to change anything, suppose a word, just use CW to change the word. It will delete the word and put you in insert mode right away instead of going to insert mode and spamming backspace. So CW. Huh. So right there, like right here, I would expect this to select all of this, right? So when I type, excuse me, when I type CW, it just deletes where I'm at. CW. Oh, so it just goes from the beginning of the cursor, I guess, to the end of that word. Okay. I can try that. I mean, my Vim food's just not very good, Butterscotch. So you tell me this stuff, and the problem is, you tell me it, and then I forget to practice it. I'm getting better though. Like I said, I picked up some of the stuff you taught me over the last month or two. Well, actually, probably last like 8 months. I think it's just gonna take time. You know, it's gonna take another couple years before I'm just like flying around like the Primogen. You know. Using motions are repeatable, using backspace is not. Ah, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, I see the value there. I'm telling you, I have done it. Oh, you're talking to somebody else. Sorry, Filthy Potato. CIW. So CW changes word. So CIW. Okay. So anything I'm inside of. So if I'm inside of a word and I want to change it, CIW. If I'm at the beginning, I can do CW. That's super helpful, man. I appreciate that a lot. Steven has a mustache. I do. I need to shave. I meant to shave last night before going to bed, and then obviously that didn't happen. I'm not going to school just for papers. I have a passion for this, and I'm studying so much outside of school. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. It's really great. I've shown this diagram a few times on stream, but it's really great when you find, when you find, what is it, ikigai? I think is how you say it. It's a Japanese concept. Ikigai. Photos always. This. It's really nice when you can find this, you know? And it sounds like you've kind of found that, Filthy Potato, where you've got an overlap between your passion, what you can be paid for, what the world needs, right? So that's wonderful, man. I'm happy for you. As somebody who spent the first part of their career doing something they weren't very passionate about, but paid them fairly decently and provided for their family, I know what it feels like to go to a job every day and really not be excited at all to be there. Um, and to experience the opposite of that is a real privilege, I will say. Wilo Gamer Pro, and what is it? Oh, Ikigai. Yeah, Steven, are you in Ikigai? Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think I think you could argue. I'm gonna pull that back up because it kind of helps to be able to point at these things while I talk about them. I think I'm definitely in a field that I love. Like I really enjoy technology. I really enjoy computers. I find the process of building software very rewarding and very interesting and very fun, right? I love the fact that software engineering can kind of be a team sport if you want it to be. I don't know if I'm particularly good at software engineering or particularly good at programming or coding, but what I do think I'm good at is I do think I'm good at solving problems. I think I have a very good approach to problem solving that I credit a lot to my time working as a scientist. This idea of, making observations, generating hypothesis, running experiments, testing, and then iterating in that loop. I think I'm good at solving problems, and that's valuable in the the company and the place I work at now. And then the company's willing to pay me, so that's great, right? And does the world need it? That's the one that's kind of subjective. I think if you look at it from an objective perspective, yeah. I mean, what I do, the world does need, because people pay for our software that we use, or people pay for the software that we make. So in some way, the world needs it, right? They're kind of these two things. I think are kind of linked in a way. Um, Now, it's kind of not always clear how much somebody is willing to pay you. I think these two things are linked. I also think these two things tend to be linked, right? What you're good at and what you love. Because if you love it, you tend to do it a lot, which makes you good at it. And if you're good at it, it makes you love it even more. The difficulty, I think, is trying to find the overlap between what you enjoy and what you can be paid for. These two things are usually very difficult to line up at times. At least that was my experience in the early part of my career. Like, I loved personal training, I loved fitness, I loved doing strength conditioning work, but it's just difficult to get people to pay for that stuff in the United States of America. Most people just don't want to hire a personal trainer. They don't want to hire a strength coach. Um, Did you love biology when you were in college? Yeah, so I loved biology was great, but I really loved chemistry. Biology was a lot of fun. I did a really cool environmental biology course where we had to go out. We basically had this like running semester long experiment where we had to go out to this grassland and do observational kind of field biology work, which was a lot of fun. And I enjoyed that. But for me, I really, really enjoyed being in the lab and working on the bench. I really enjoyed the chemistry approach, or the chemistry work, more than probably the biology aspect of my degree. The two overlap in certain ways, but yeah, I really enjoyed the chemistry. That's the one thing I am kind of sad about, is I am kind of sad I never got to actually work as like a bench chemist in a lab. I never got to have that experience. I have a coworker, or a former coworker, who got a job at a 3M plant doing bench chemist type of work, and I was jealous when I heard he got that job, because I always wanted to experience what it would be like to be a chemist in an actual industrial setting. Um, but maybe, I don't know, maybe that's a future thing down the road. Maybe when AI AI gets rid of all need for software development professionals, I'll go be a bench chemist somewhere. All right, I think I'm going to implement a queue real quick and then call it. So I'm going to add a queue package with the queue.go class. And I'm going to make it really simple. So we'll do package queue. I bet Copilot can implement this faster than I can. Package queue provides a simple, yep. Watch. I bet Copilot just pumps this out. Although I want it to be an interface. This is going to be an interface. Yep. That looks good. Yep, that looks good too. Yes, but I don't think I want to do that. Or do I want to do that? me do that. Yep, in Q, we append DQ. So what are we doing? So what we do first is we check if it's empty. I don't think I want to. That's fine. Function is empty. Okay. The problem with this though is it's not safe in concurrent situations. We do want to do that. We want a pointer so that we can actually mutate the items collection held on the underlying struct. So this, yeah, so we want to make this a FIFO queue implementation. I want to do a thread save. So we actually need to implement a lock. What is it? A lock. Yep. Make that. And then what we'll do is we will say lock dot lock. We'll defer the unlock. Oh, we need to Q. And then same thing here. We'll defer that. We'll do our work. We want to do a check on the length, so let's do and same thing here. Okay. Now let's use this. So let's go back to 7. And now, instead of doing a queue like the way we're doing it up here, we'll say, oh, let's try to follow, we'll do beams queue is equal to queue dot new. And this will be, yep, like that. And we'll say while beams queue size, or I guess we could do is empty equals false. We will dequeue it. See, this is the part about the error I don't like. I think success. It was DQ'd. If was DQ'd is false, we'll break. Something's wrong. If we were unable to DQ, something's wrong. And then here we can do that and that. That. Let's see if we rerun our tests. Oh, we need to enqueue this too. So if we rerun our tests, we should all pass still. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, we broke something. I think we created an infinite loop or something. Go test. Yep. So we're back to... We broke our solution. So what did we do? Well, I guess we never, I guess after the initial refactor, we never did run our test. So we should probably, before we stick the Q class in there. Let's revert all this. And let's rerun this. Okay. So then when we stick the Q in there, and then it all breaks. Oh, I know why. I know why. We created a deadlock in our Q implementation. I know exactly why. So while Q So we created a deadlock because in our DQ we grab the lock and then we call is empty, which then tries to grab the lock. So what we need to do is inside here, we don't want to use that is empty method. We want to actually check because we already have the lock. We did that once before actually on stream with there we go. That was our deadlock. Cool. So now we have a Q implementation we can use. I'll add some tests too at some point for this. Q test.go. We also need to add a test for func. Yep, test move. Some results. We'll do move dot down. Expected. I don't think I need to compare the actual individual rows. I think I can just compare that. Row test. What happened? Something happened. Expected package found. Oh, that's because I don't have any tests in there. Package Q tests. All right, everyone's happy now. So we'll do git add. Oh, whoops! We should have used git. How do I restore? Git restore. I was going to use the new git status. There we go. I was going to use the new plugin we added, so we can do LG. Looky there, lazy get inside Neovim. Things are getting serious around here. So let's say to say feature added move method to position, and then refactor. Oh, hold on. This. How do you unstage in lazy git? Does anybody know? Lazy git unstage. Press the space. This toggles the staging status. Oh, did I just toggle it again? Oh, nice. That's very nice. Okay. Shows how much I've used lazy git though, doesn't it? Commit, and we'll do feature add queue implementation, and then we'll do C refactor update solution to use grid position internal packages, and then we can push this with Shift P. Wonderful. Yeah, that's nice, man. That's a really, really nice workflow and Git experience if you're in Neovim. I know I don't think he's still here. That was shout out to, what was his name? Ulas. Shout out to Ulas for that recommendation. This is the plugin too that lets you do it if you're someone who might be interested in doing that. Lazy Git in Vim. So shout out to KD Heap Pack. I don't know who that is for making that plugin. This is very cool. Steven, space. Yeah, bruh. I'm sorry, Volk. I'm not a GigaChad programmer, man. I would describe myself as a plodding engineer, right? I'm not a visionary. I'm not quick. I'm not particularly fast. I am good at solving problems because I kind of like bulldog the problem. I like latch onto it and I wrestle it until it dies. I'm just, for better or for worse. Hey, Anurag, how are you? Good to see you. How are you doing, man? Hope you're having yourself a fine Saturday. We're having ourselves a pretty chill Saturday morning. We're just hanging out. We did day 7 part 1, and we solved that. We used a breadth first search approach using a queue to process our beams, and we added a new plugin to my Neovim configuration that allows us to use lazy git in Neovim, which is pretty good. Doing good, yes. Just came from the gym. Nice. Yeah, the gym's on my list of things to do today. I don't really have anything else I have to do today. I need to, at some point this weekend, take my boys to get their haircuts, which we'll probably do maybe tomorrow morning. Then I'll obviously need to work out, probably hang out, just enjoy the holiday time. Our Christmas tree's up. We hung our ornaments last weekend. Sorry, not yesterday, last weekend. So just kind of enjoy being home with the family. I like slow weekends. Yeah, so that's good. Good to hear you got the gym in, man. Oh, that's cool, Stefan. Hey, Stefan, do you mind if I show this on stream? I don't want to. I don't want to dox anything. Here, I'll just take a screenshot of the solution. Look, Stefan's over there learning Rust or learning Lisp. I mean, I kind of see the appeal, but I think the braces are weird. The braces are weird. But yeah, this is what I was talking about. Yeah, exactly this. Seems like a really simple way to test your understanding of for loops. I think Free Code Camp has you do this, or maybe they actually I think they do this in CS50. CS50 makes you print something like this when you're learning loops. I don't have any other good ideas though for you to build. I wish I had something more intelligent to offer, but I don't. All right, it's PTC Dare Town time. Finish loading up and we out of here. All right, man. Be safe driving. You know how the roads are dangerous, man. You're more likely to die in a car crash than pretty much anything else you do on a day-to-day basis. So be safe, man. Drive slow. Don't drive fast. It matters far more that you get there, not that you get there quickly. So drive safe. Drive safe. See you, Filthy Potato. Maybe catch you tomorrow. Good luck with the drive. Yep, cruise control and speed limit. Yep, 100%, dude. Just get you and your lady there. You guys can take your time. Be safe. Head on a swivel. Head on a swivel. Okay, well, since Filthy Potato's leaving, I guess I'll leave too. No, that's not why. I pretty much had done all I planned to do though on stream this morning. So I think I'm gonna hop off and go hang out with the family. Go see what's going on. Get our Saturday popping. If you're new here, I guess I'll do my normal wrap up. So if you're new here and you're like, hey, I kind of like this guy, I kind of like his chat, I'd like to hang out with them more, you can find us outside of the stream in Discord. And if you like the live stream and you want to hang out in the live stream, then I'll put my schedule in the chat as well. My schedule is 4:15 a.m. Central Standard Time to 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. As far as what I do when I stream, I normally talk way too much. I drink a lot of caffeine and occasionally write halfway working code. Right now, we're currently focused on solving all of the advent of code puzzles. We did day 7 part 1 today. We'll do day 7 part 2 tomorrow, and we'll keep doing that until the 24th, and hopefully we'll be done on the 24th. And then in between solutions, we'll probably work on a side project. And then after advent of code, I really don't know what we'll do. I've got plenty of projects to keep me busy, so that's probably what those streams will consist of. So if that interests you or it sounds fun to you, please come hang out. Or you can just stop in if you see me live and say hello. That would be cool too. It's always nice to see familiar faces. And with that, I'll leave you guys. So I hope you all have a wonderful Saturday. If it's Sunday for you already, because time zones are kind of weird, I hope you have a wonderful Sunday. And maybe I'll see you tomorrow morning. If not tomorrow morning, maybe I'll see you in the comments of a short or a video. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye, Stefan. Bye, Volk. Bye, Rampla. Filthy Potato's already gone. Who else? Bye, New Rag. Good to see you, man. Anybody else in chat that I missed? I don't think so. I think that's it. All right, chat. Bye, y'all. Bye. See you guys.